Hi, I'm Ben Compere, and today I'm going to be talking about the golden ratio, also known as the golden rectangle, also known as the thing that goes along with the Fibonacci sequence. Since the time of ancient Greece, mathematicians have tried to figure out what makes things perfect and right. This led to the development of a set of measurements that led, in turn, to the ratio of 1 to 1.618, which is now often called the golden ratio. The golden ratio frequently appears in art, architecture, natural sciences, and even pop culture. Even if we may not see it right off the bat, it is still very present in our everyday lives. But before we talk about that too much, let's delve into the history of this special ratio.
History and origins.
The ratio's discovery can be given to one person in particular, the ancient mathematician and all-around smart guy, Euclid. His first mention of the ratio was in around 300 BCE, but he didn't call it the golden ratio. He instead called it the extreme and mean ratio, which is strange because I haven't seen it at any X Games recently. Pythagoras, the triangle theorem guy, knew about it too, but he was more focused on the whole triangle thing. Then, in 1202, some Italian guy from Pisa, the place with the leaning tower, whose name rhymes with Fibonacci, took the ratio and devised a way to draw numbers from it. These numbers became known as the Fibonacci sequence. The arrangement of numbers is fairly simple to understand, although more complex addition is required as it continues. To continue the sequence, you add the two previous numbers together, and whatever the sum is, that is the next number in the sequence. For example, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 2 plus 3 equals 5, 3 plus 5 equals 8, and so on and so forth. The golden ratio, or at least the image of it, has been adapted into the golden rectangle, or the golden spiral if you want to sound cooler, which is famously known for being that really nice looking rectangle with the curve in it. The mysticism and magic behind the golden ratio didn't really take off at the time, but eventually, in 1509, an Italian mathematician by the name of Luca Pacioli published a book titled De Divina Proportione, which translates to The Divine Proportion. It had illustrations from Ninja Turtle and local cool guy Leonardo da Vinci inside of it, and overall the work praised the ratio for being divine, and creating a fantastic example of simplicity and orderliness. Due to the success of the book, the golden ratio had a rise in fame among mathematicians and artists in the 16th century. Many artists and mathematicians have claimed that the ratio is truly special for its representation of beauty and seemingly perfection. Anyway, as the sequence goes on, the ratio of numbers gets closer and closer to the golden ratio, which, similarly to pi, is a number that gets rounded off. In this case, our ratio is rounded off to 1.618, which is otherwise represented as phi, the 21st letter of the Greek alphabet. Funnily enough, the golden ratio is actually equal to the limit of the ratios of successive terms in the Fibonacci sequence. German mathematician Simon Jacob noted that the consecutive Fibonacci numbers converge to the golden ratio. This fun factoid was rediscovered later by mathematician Johannes Kepler in 1608. The first known decimal approximation of the golden ratio was stated as about 0.6180340 in 1597 by astronomer Michael Maestlin, in a letter to Kepler, his former student. The same year, Kepler wrote to Maestlin of the Kepler triangle, which combines the golden ratio with the Pythagorean theorem. Kepler said of these,
Geometry has two great treasures. One is the theorem of Pythagoras, the other the division of a line into extreme and mean ratio. The first we may compare to a mass of gold, the second we may call a precious jewel.
This is a quote from page 223 of A Brief History of Mathematics, an authorized translation of Dr. Carl Fink's Geschichte.
Geschichte
Der Elementarmathematik.
Natural life.
Finding the ratio in natural life may be easier than you think. Sunflowers, certain kinds of shells, pinecone swirls, hurricanes, and even spiral galaxies follow the format of the golden ratio. Speaking of all things natural, the human body is another example of something where this special ratio is found throughout. For example, it seems to describe what proportions look best or most appealing, Adding on to this, painters and sculptors dating back to ancient Greece have known about the golden ratio and have used it to make various works of art that seem to represent the perfect human form. Da Vinci's The Vitruvian Man, drawn in somewhere around 1490, showed how the human body was a major source of proportion in classical orders of architecture. The human face has several instances of the golden ratio on it. Faces are about 1.618 times longer than they are wide. Also, the distance between the top of the nose and the center of the lips has been observed to be, on average, around 1.618 times greater than the distance between the center of the lips and the chin. Its use in present time varies, although it is very present in contemporary art and architecture. It is also thought to be found in older architectural sites such as the Parthenon in Greece and the Taj Mahal in India. With the Taj Mahal, for example, when we look for the ratio of the length to the width of the Taj Mahal's main building, we find that it is about 1.6, which is very close to our golden ratio of 1.618. The height of the building itself and the height of the very famous central dome are also similarly proportional to the overall size of the entire structure, and closely follow the guidelines of our golden ratio.
Pop culture.
The golden ratio has its place in pop culture. It is more than just, hey, look at how good my edition is, guys. From a band in the 80s, to the book The Phantom Tollbooth, to the film The Da Vinci Code, and even to the popular manga series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the golden ratio has definitely made its mark in the various media formats. Plus, it's a pretty cool looking tattoo. The Spanish painter Salvador Dali very clearly used the golden ratio in one of his most well-known pieces, The Sacrament of the Last Supper. The dimensions of the canvas are a golden rectangle. A huge dodecahedron, one of the illustrations used in Pacioli's aforementioned book, The Divine Proportion, is present. The shape appears in perspective so that edges appear in golden ratio to one another, and it is suspended both above and behind Jesus to dominate the background composition.
Conclusion.
Going back to the pattern itself, it is technically infinite, as there are an infinite amount of usable numbers present that can be in the sequence. These can be small values like 5 plus 8 equals 13, which are the 5th, 6th, and 7th values in the sequence, or larger ones, like 832,040 plus 1,346,269 equals 2,178,309. These are the 30th, 31st, and 32nd values, respectively. Now, there's no evidence that the use of the golden ratio is better than the use of other proportions, but there is no denying how satisfying the ratio is to behold. Finally, to wrap this up, a question for the people watching at home. Without looking it up, calculate the 33rd number in the Fibonacci sequence. Everything you need has been given to you in this video. Good luck, and goodbye!